Mariners win 9-2. They improve to 63-52 on the season. They take the first of the 3-game series against the Baltimore Orioles. Let's quickly go over how it happens. This was pretty much all Mariners. Big Dumper, a.k.a. Cal Raleigh, a.k.a. my hero, hits a 2-run homer with Eugenio Suarez on base to make it 2-0. In the fourth, the Orioles do get one back on an Anthony Santander homer that was just scorched off of Luis Castillo, who otherwise was fantastic. 2-1. In the fourth, the Mariners, I believe, get 5 is correct. Jose Caballero hits a sac fly to make it 3-1. Josh Rojas singles in a Dominic Canzone, the Arizona connection, getting something done to make it 4-1. And that man, Julio Rodriguez, homers to right center to turn this into a absolute butt whooping. 7-1. Ty France scorches a home run to make it 8-1. Julio Rodriguez doubles home another run to make it 9-1 in the sixth. Baltimore gets an absolutely meaningless run to make it 9-2. Mariners win. Before we get into the positives and the negatives and just how awesome all of this is, I am super excited, folks. Today's show is brought to you by Simply Seattle. I'm so excited to say that they're going to be sponsoring some of these shows going forward. And folks, I cannot tell you how great of a shop this place is. If you are looking for anything Seattle Mariner related, this is the place to go. You see this gorgeous hat right here? That is as gorgeous as it gets, folks. I am biased as heck because they've been so good to me in Molly Watt Monday, and we'll talk about that in just one sec. But you can't beat their quality. They've got a ton of great local stuff as well. You've seen that Mariner Griffey, the logo band shirt. You have to go pick that up. You have to go get some of the Julio stuff. They have amazing hoodies. And it's just not just Mariners. If you're a Seahawk fan, if you're a Kraken fan, if you're a Husky fan, if you're a Rainiers fan, if you're a fan of FC Ballard, if you're a Storm fan, anything you're looking for Seattle, you can get from Simply Seattle. And here's the best part. If you use code MOLLYWOP15, all one word, MOLLYWHOP15, you get 15% off your order. That's pretty dang good as well. And the prices are already more than fair. But to save a little bit, that's nice too, isn't it? I cannot recommend them enough. They've got a bunch of stuff like local shirts and Grey's Anatomy stuff. Anything you're looking for, Seattle, you can get at www.simplyseattle.com. And I'll have a link to the website and a reminder of that code as well. 15% off. I cannot tell you how appreciative I am. I can't even say words, folks. I cannot tell you how appreciative, how much this means to me. It's awesome that they're believing in the show, and it's awesome that we've gotten to a point where we can have stuff like this happens. Let's go. I'm going to get that ugly light out of the way here too. Do we have any negatives to talk about here? Trent Thornton didn't look great in an absolutely meaningless mop-up performance. Offensively, Teoscar got on, but had a couple of poor at-bats. That's it. That's it, folks. This was as complete a game as I've seen the Mariners play, not just this year, but in the last couple of years. And let's start with Luis Castillo, because, yeah, he gives up that one homer. Outside of that, he dominated one of the best, most talented lineups in baseball. He shoved 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 8 strikeouts, did issue 2 walks. No issue, worked around him. I mean, he just felt like he was in control throughout the game. And that's how he's looked most of the year. There have been a couple of starts, like the last one, was not good. That was not Luis Castillo at his best. But for the most part, Luis Castillo has been outstanding. He's been worth every bit of the money. Of course, he's been worth the money, and he's been worth the prospects they give up in that trade too. He is a legitimate ace. You're going to take a look at that win-loss record, and I'm going to tell you, stop looking at win-loss records. It's not even close to indicative of how well he's pitched. In fact, even his ERA, which I think is below 3.14, still very good. That doesn't even tell you how good Luis Castillo has been for most of the year. We are so fortunate to see this guy pitch for the Seattle Mariners for the next few years. That's going to kind of be the theme of this, is kind of the blessings that we kind of have to being Seattle Mariner fans right now. Taylor Saucedo, it was weird to see him pitch in that situation, I thought, but hey, Ryder Ryan looked good. I will admit, I didn't know Ryder Ryan was on the roster. Okay. Good for him, though. Pitched great. Got a couple of strikeouts, as low leverage of a debut as you can have, but did pitched great. Got that out of his system. The pitching was outstanding tonight. Thornton struggled. Does get the strikeout at the end to just kind of put away the rally, but didn't look great. And again, I don't want to see Thornton pitching in high leverage situations. Whenever possible, your high leverage guys in order should be Munoz, Brash, Saucedo. No, Munoz, Brash, Topa, Saucedo, Spire. Those are your 5. I feel pretty confident with all 5 of those guys going. I don't think you need to see Thornton in those situations, but he's a nice multi-inning reliever, and I think they used him in the right situation today. Cal Raleigh is crushing the baseball. Crushing. I know he only gets to 1 hit, and he struck out 3 at times outside of that, but he is just murdering pitches. It was nice to see him drive something up. I know he likes the baseball up. I think he's more effective actually at pitches down low. I've seen an awful lot of homers below that waist area that he is just absolutely destroyed. And he did tonight. Off a ineffective, to say the least, Kyle Gibson for sure. But they took advantage of it. Nice game from Cade Marlowe. Nice game from Josh Rojas, who, I got to be honest, I was thinking, boy, are we going to have to lead off with the negatives, because he just wasn't making any hard contact. But he gets a couple hits tonight, scores a couple runs. He needs to play a lot. I suppose we should talk about one negative that I kind of forgot about, but just like I forgot Ryder Ryan is up, is that JP Crawford was placed on the concussion injured list. And I really, really did. This is not a case of me overreacting to something and being a prisoner of the moment. That's what I was trying to say. Not very effectively. I did not like that JP Crawford stayed in that game after taking that hit. I was really disappointed with the Mariners that they let him continue playing. And I can't tell you how much of an effect it had, but it was blatantly obvious that JP Crawford was woozy. And you don't have players in 2023. Sorry, guys, turning off notifications. Stay in games with that. You're going to tell me you're being soft, Chris. You just don't get it for a professional athlete. And I don't get it, because I'm not a professional athlete. But I do know that we know more about the human body and the brain than ever before. And doctors are telling us that they're not supposed to be playing after head injuries, folks. Doctors, they know what they're talking about. You don't. If you disagree with this, you do not. And it's not on JP Crawford to say, hey, my head hurts, I need to come out. If he said that, he's not any worse of a person. It's up to the Seattle Mariners to look after JP Crawford. And I think they did a pretty poor job of that. And that's disappointing. So here's hoping this is a very short stay. Obviously, the most important thing is JP Crawford's health. Concussions are scary things, folks. I've never had one, but I know a lot of people who have. And it affects your short-term and your long-term quality and quantity of life. I'm hoping that this is just a one-time thing, obviously. The most obvious point of obvious points. But take care of yourself, JP. Get better, because the Mariners need you. They need you indeed. Is there anything else I want to talk about before we get into that dude? Julio. I knew Julio was in for a big game after that first at bat, because for those who missed it, he scorches a ball to center field. Scorches. And Cedric Mullins makes a terrific play. Should have been a double. I imagine the average, expected batting average on that hit must have been quite high. But Mullins makes a great play, and you see that big old smile on Julio's face. And it was a smile that suggested, hey, great play. That's awesome. Good sportsmanship. But it also suggested to me, like, this ain't the last time you've seen me do something, folks. This ain't the last time you've seen me pick up something big tonight. And it wasn't. And again, for those new to the podcast, I say again a lot. I don't know how really to phrase this, but Julio just looks like when he's in that leadoff spot. I know he struggled early in the season. It was very early. And I'm not even suggesting that you should move him down when JP Crawford comes back. And hopefully it's soon. Hopefully it's in a week. But whenever JP's healthy. But I think long term, that's where Julio should be. Because I think that's where he's most comfortable, is at his most comfortable. I know the idea of him getting to drive in a guy who gets on as often as JP is awfully pleasing. Totally understand that. But there's also something about Julio just being so electric to lead off these games. I love a leadoff walk as much as everybody else. But there's something about that leadoff double, that leadoff single, that leadoff homer. It won't happen this year. It won't. When JP Crawford is in the lineup, he's going to hit at the very top unless he really, really, really struggles down the stretch. But long term, I like Julio in that leadoff spot because I think Julio likes being in that leadoff spot. And I want my best player hitting at his most comfortable spot. And I don't see how you can argue that he's not at his best at that leadoff spot. Look at what he did last year. Look what he's done from that leadoff spot the last couple of times. Not saying Julio can't hit third, fourth, seventh, whatever. He can do it all. He is as talented as any player in baseball. But I do think that he has that Acuna factor hitting at the top. Just something to consider for next year, I think. And heaven forbid, if Crawford's out long term, you're leaving Julio in that top spot. I don't know about Suarez being in the second spot. I'm not sure how much it matters. I definitely don't want France in that top spot, but great to see him drive a baseball again. He's looks like he's figuring some stuff out. Flawed, no question about it. But he does look like he's starting to figure some stuff out. Canzone gets on a couple of times. Marlowe, I mean, what can you say about Cade Marlowe, folks? He just looks phenomenal. And I hate to do this. We're going to say it again. How much better is this team with Cade Marlowe instead of AJ Pollock a few weeks ago or a month ago? Is this a hindsight 2020 thing? Maybe a little bit, but not really, because I was calling for it. Christopher Crawford, who has never made a mistake. Don't look that one up. Was calling for it. I wanted Cade Marlowe on this roster, and unfortunately, with all due respect to AJ Pollock, who's had a heck of a career, I did not want him on the Seattle Mariners. Not even a little bit. What a phenomenal win that shows that you can compete with anyone. Anyone. Baltimore has been as good of a baseball team as anyone for 2023. In 2023, excuse me. And you just clobbered them. Let's talk about tomorrow. You've got George Kirby going against Cole Irvin. I haven't looked up Irvin's numbers in a while. Not great. Not great. Still, I know Jack Flaherty was a nice kid for them. I think they should have done more at the deadline to improve that pitching staff. Fujinami also a nice little get for them earlier, but I think they should have done more. And I just I'll say it again. George Kirby is the pitcher I trust the most outside of Castillo on the staff. It's probably a little bit of an obvious point, but so impressed with what he's done for the overwhelming majority of the year and over his career, short as it may be. And let's just quickly talk about how big tomorrow is, I think, too, for Mariner fans. I really wish I could go tomorrow. Talked about this on Mile Y. Felix is really important to a lot of us. I've mentioned this on the radio that I sometimes think we forget that as Mariner fans, there's Mariner fans all over the world, and we love having you. But as local folks, we know that we are isolated, right? We're in our little corner of the world. Vancouver's a massive city. Portland is a wonderful city as well. That's not far from us. But let's be honest. We're isolated. We are in this little corner. And I think because of where we are, maybe we appreciate loyalty a little more. And we haven't seen it from a whole lot of superstars in Seattle. And I want to make this abundantly clear. Major league players could do, and major NFL players, NBA players, hockey players, they have the right to go play wherever they want. They don't really owe us anything, right? Like, I'm not ever going to be super mad at Ken Griffey Jr., who, you see the jersey right behind me. I'm never going to be super mad that he decided to, for lack of a better term, screw the Mariners and say, hey, I'm going to play for one other team. You have to trade me to the Reds or I'm not playing for you. I will go nowhere else. And he earned that 10-5 clause. He earned that no trade clause, excuse me. I think it might have been 10-5 at that point too. I'll have to look that up. Anyway, he earned that right. But it stunk. It really hurt the Mariners. It's amazing they did as well in that trade as they did. The other thing you see behind me is a Russell Wilson jersey. I love Russell Wilson. I know a lot of you do not love Russell Wilson, and that's fine. I totally get it. He, from everything I've heard, wanted the heck out of here. But I also appreciate the heck out of him because he's the best quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. It's not even close. Randy Johnson didn't want to sign long-term here. The Mariners kind of screwed that one up. Alex Rodriguez didn't want to sign here. Gary Payton wanted to leave. Sean Kemp wanted to leave. Most of Seattle's stars have left us. Felix didn't. Felix did the opposite. Felix and his family demanded that they stay in Seattle. And while I won't feel anybody bad for anybody for taking $175 million, no, not even a little bit, to say he turned down a much bigger bag is the understatement of understatements. Folks, if Felix Hernandez hits free agency when he does, we're talking about the largest contract for any pitcher, and it's not even close. Somebody would have given him the Garrett Cole deal, and I think then some. He was going to get the bag. And he got rewarded handsomely, and deservedly so. But the fact that he wanted to stay, the fact that he demanded he stay, the fact that he wanted to bring a winner to Seattle more than I think any Seattle Mariner has in history, we should really appreciate it. And I think we do. I think we do. And I'm so glad that the organization has repaired their relationship with Felix, because for everything I heard from folks, it was not good. It was not good. And it took, I'm going to give credit to Felix for being the bigger man on some of this stuff. And I'll give credit to the Seattle front office too, for realizing it's a little bit, you're not supposed to you're not supposed to do the things they did with Felix. You're not supposed to lose the relationship. But we have seen plenty of relationships with Seattle people just go bye-bye. Very, very, very good chance we'll never see Alex Rodriguez get appreciated here. That kind of breaks my heart a little bit. Terrible announcer, but one of the greatest players in Seattle Mariner history, and it's not even kind of debatable. You could argue that him at his best is the greatest Seattle Mariner of all time. In fact, I would. Love Griffey, love Edgar, love Randy, love Julio, love Ichiro, love Boone, all these guys who had unbelievable careers and unbelievable short and long-term things. A-Rod was the best. But that relationship is torn. It's done. You saw that poster, right, of all the great Mariners. And you did not see Alex Rodriguez, a guy who, yes, has steroid stuff, but put up some of the greatest numbers in the sport, just flat out get ignored. And I was really scared that's what we were going to have with Felix. And maybe I should be saving it for tomorrow to talk about this. But I want to talk about it now. For those of you who get to go to the game tomorrow, you cheer until you can't stop cheering. Because he deserves the absolute best. So stupid to have tears over a baseball thing, but he deserves the best. He was everything to the Seattle Mariners. And I'm so glad that they repaired this. Because I'm going to be emotional tomorrow too, even just watching. But I'm so glad this is happening. And I'm so glad the Mariners are playing well right now. Do you know imagine if the Mariners were playing like they were 2 months ago or a month ago. And you're having this. It'd be fun. It'd be great. But now you get to celebrate Felix, and you also get to celebrate a really, really good baseball team. We are blessed, folks. We are blessed that we get to watch Julio Rodriguez for the next decade. We are blessed that Cal Raleigh, I really hope, is going to be here for a very long time. We are blessed that we have this big three in the rotation. We are blessed that this player development system is so much better. There are a lot of things to complain about with the Seattle Mariners. And we will. When they are prevalent, we will. But right now, we should be focusing, in my personal opinion, on how blessed we are. Follow me on that website at Crawford_MILB, Blue Sky at Crawford, Chris V. Sports Sometimes podcast. Please check that out. RotoWire Fantasy Baseball podcast. Please check that out. Might have another fun thing to announce in the next couple of days too. So that's cool. Oh, and remember to subscribe, because when we get to 750 and you go comment on that top catcher list, somebody's winning that. Edgar Martinez. Autograph card to 50 on card. He was pretty good at baseball. This is fun. And yeah, have fun tomorrow night if you're going to the game. And give that king, all of the applause that he deserves. And thank you again, Simply Seattle. This is going to be awesome.